My nutrition and health journey has reached a new level of insanity. Welcome to the Pete the Planner show. So here's what ends up happening in 2026. You take your health more seriously, you take your nutrition more seriously. Hello, Chris. Inevitably, you start supplementing vitamins and all these other things in your life. And so this past weekend, I was talking to some colleagues at our holiday little gathering, and there is no holiday. There is no holiday. This is what people do also in 2026 is they actually don't do work holiday things during the holidays. They do them after the holidays, but you call them a holiday thing. Hello, Andy. Hello, Danza. And so I'm talking to colleague's husband, and he starts talking about magnesium. He's talking about that Neasy. He's talking about all the benefits of the Neasium, the magnesium. And I'd been considering it. I'd been chatting with my chat GPT about whether I should take magnesium to improve my sleep and a couple other things. And so upon ending the discussion that next Saturday morning, I went to GNC, which, by the way, if you're a GNC member, like their points like thing, it is literally the most confusing customer rewards thing in the history of mankind. Reverend Renfro, hello. Jason, hello. But you always end up saving a lot of money. Anyway, I buy the Neasy. So I take the Neasy. I slept like a baby, but like a baby that can sleep. Next night, took it. Baby. But I'm tiptoeing into the Neasy, you know? I'm talking to a doctor. He's like, oh, it's the body handles that element very well. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but I'm going to keep going. So I kept increasing the dose to the normal dose. Last night, according to a text from my life partner this morning, I was sleepwalking at 11:35 last night, and I scared my family. And so that is my magnesium journey. Joining me, as always, Damian Dunn. Hello.
I was all in on I saw some stuff on it, thought, you know, help you sleep. I was like, man, this sounds wonderful. And hearing your experience with it, I was getting pumped. And then you said sleepwalking, and now I'm back
dude, it's great. I'll tell you this. Okay, I want you to think about, do you have a chair? You're an old man. You have a chair, right?
There may be a chair.
Okay, I've got a chair. So you're in your chair. Do women have chairs? Hey, lady listeners, Cheryl, Andy, Rev, Danza, do you have a chair at your house, or is it a dude thing? Like, let me know. Anyway, Dame, I want you to picture yourself in your chair.
Okay.
You've had the right amount of bourbon, but not so much. You're not buzzy. It's just like enough that you actually kind of feel yourself like sinking into your chair, like a heaviness, but a good heaviness that is sort of gluing you to your chair. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've experienced that a time or two.
That's magnesium.
Really?
Yeah, it's just like this, like right before Andy says no chair. Does she have she has a spot on the couch? I think that's a lady thing. I think
that's equivalent, yeah.
My wife's got a spot on the couch. I'm chair guy. And so anyway, Dame, it's like this super calm, like you lay in bed and the bed kind of takes you in. It is nice. Cheryl doesn't have a chair either. Barcalounger like Joey and Chandler for Danza. That tracks.
I may have to go to GNC, my local GNC, and buy some magnesium today.
I'll send you a picture of what I'm taking.
Okay.
Anyway, how are you doing?
Should we do the show on magnesium sometime?
Maybe. Hey, did you get a ton of snow last weekend?
I mean, not like you did. We got snow, but like, I don't know, 5 inches, maybe 6. But it blew a lot. So there were spots where it was, over a foot, and there were spots where you could still see grass.
Brian Pinkins joins the live stream. Feels like it's been a long time. Here's what happens with this guy. Gets a big boy job. It's a stunner of a big job. See him at the front row at Pacers games with his family.
Oh, that guy.
I'm out there. I'm seeing him on TV. And then he just graces our presence by popping in at 10:04 on a Friday.
Wow.
Oh, there it is. Jason says, I've taken magnesium citrate for a while. I can't say I've ever slept on any. Whoa,
Hmm.
it's an aggressive vapor, like any different, but I still take it for some reason. Look at my man.
Humble.
It's very Midwestern, throwing off the, I was in the front row. Anyway, Dame, our snow was deep. I mean, deeper than a Ta-Nehisi Coates essay, like deep.
Wow.
And heavy. It was a good workout. I did some math. I got the math. I reckon, still from the Midwest, that I did 300 shovelfuls in my driveway.
Okay.
All around 40 pounds or so, which is 12,000 pounds of tonnage, and which is not an extraordinary amount for an hour workout. But for one muscle group, which is just your back and leg, the same movement, it's a lot. So it kind of stung the next day.
Now, did you weigh one of those shovelfuls, or are you just so comfortable with throwing the weights around that it felt like 40 pounds?
I'll tell you, you start taking magnesium, you feel every ounce. Oh, boy. I'm weeks away from another cross-country soccer journey. What are you doing?
That's going to be amazing.
I'm excited, but
it certainly has to be warmer wherever you're traveling, so you got that going for you.
That is true. This is a good show topic. Kristen's not here. Does anybody? Sorry, Kristen's not here. People are upset.
Did they? Somebody notice? I don't know.
No, people notice. Of course they do. Damn, I was at I don't even know what to call it, business meeting.
Oh.
And in Chicago on Wednesday at a 2-story Maggiano's.
Okay.
And Chad and I got to drive home after this meeting. And so, of course, they serve family style 4-course meal to wrap the meeting. It's just like you kind of danged if you do, danged if you don't. I don't know if the kids are listening.
Yeah. Safe.
And I just had a piece of grilled chicken because I was just like, dude, I gotta drive home for 3 hours. I can't, hit the ditch. All right, you ready for this? This is a good topic. Should I set it up or just go? Let's everyone catch it in real time.
Let everybody experience it at the same time. I think that'll be fun.
Okay. I did an IBJ podcast yesterday that'll air their main one. I think it's just called the IBJ podcast.
Topic?
Kind of similar to what we did last week, like the disconnection of the economy and the vibe or whatever.
Did they steal our theme and just turned it into an extra podcast?
You take that up with Mason King.
I won't do that.
So I met with him yesterday for that. And I got to meet with another Mason today, back-to-back Mason days.
What are the chances of that?
I don't know. Mason on the show yesterday was talking about his wife's 10 years younger. He kind of just brought it up. And of course, me and my immaturity, I just hammered that for the entire episode. I think it got creepy.
He brought it up.
Yeah, he did bring it up. I thought it was funny. Okay, let's go. I almost just started reading the email and didn't even start the show.
That would have been a bummer.
That would have been weird. Okay. You ever any Ta-Nehisi Coates?
No.
You know who he is?
Do you play tight end for the Colts?
No. Ben Coates played tight end for the Patriots years ago. Ta-Nehisi Coates is a writer, an essayist, if you will. Incredible writer, but it's one of those writers where you read their work and your brain hurts. It's so good, but it's like you have to be locked in or you get lost so quick. But it's beautiful but it's just intense.
Don't take magnesium before you read it.
Oh no, you're going to need to be on that methamphetamine or.
Noted.
I've never taken methamphetamine. Okay, I did watch Breaking Bad. 3, 2, 1. This week on the Pete the Planner Show, we answer your money questions. Here's how the show works. You email us, askpete@petetheplanner.com. That is askpete@petetheplanner.com. And like today, we may turn your email into the entire show. This show is a radio show. You're listening to it. Also a podcast. Maybe you're listening to it. Pete the Planner podcast. Also a live stream. Some of you are listening to that. The live streams Fridays, 10 a.m. Eastern. Damian Dunn joins me as always. Hello, Dame.
Hello, Pete.
Kristen Elanius is on sabbatical.
Again.
It's okay. It's good. She'll be back soon. Dame, great email question this week. Let's just get after it. There's a lot to discuss. Hi, Pete. I keep hearing that retirement looks different now, but I'm trying to figure out if that's insight or just a way to lower our expectations. When I look at my grandparents, retirement felt simple.
Time out.
Granted.
Dude, I totally agree.
Yes.
I mean, with the idea that you looked at your grandparents' retirement and it was like idyllic and like, I don't, is that just our youthfulness and nostalgia? Or like I looked at theirs, I was like, well, this is simple and great.
I've wondered that a lot because I very clearly remember being just a kid and seeing them both retired. And I knew Grandpa played golf and Grandma played cards, and they hung out and they had dinners with friends and seemingly not a care in the world. And it seemed amazing.
They worked for decades, stopped working in their early 60s as the emailer's the right. Who was this? Ta-Nehisi Coates had a pension, Social Security, and a paid off house. I'm going to read that sentence again because I'll be honest with you. This is getting a little hot. That's getting amazing. Stopped working in the early 60s.
Okay.
Had a pension,
Mm-hmm.
Social Security, and a paid off house. They didn't talk about the markets. They didn't talk about withdrawal rates or whether they'd lived or outlived their money. Retirement wasn't something they managed. It just sort of happened, as the emailer notes. My parents' experience was similar, just slightly more modern, still a pension, still Social Security that mattered. Still the sense that if you did what you were supposed to do, retirement would take care of itself. So Dame, just clicking in here for a second, I think as I kind of look at that next generation, I share the same sentiment.
Yeah, I think there's all truth has been spouted so far. I can't disagree with anything.
I do wonder, is this like the reverse of, how like the 20 somethings now are like, everything's more expensive. It's much harder to be 20 today, which I don't mean to trivialize because I agree with them. It's just like that reverse version of that. It was much easier to retire when you were 60 years ago.
I don't think so. Because in my opinion, there weren't nearly as many things or as many temptations to spend money is in the 80s. So if you had your house paid off and you had a car that you could drive around in, you had at least two streams of income between most families, at least pension and Social Security. And if you saved a little bit outside of that for your own self, even though that was incredibly uncommon, wonderful. But yeah, I think you and I have talked about this. I remember my grandparents driving to the nearest big city 20 miles away. And that was a big deal that they left town and went somewhere like that. And they never drove a couple hours away unless they absolutely had to for something. So I think the demand on our dollars was just so much less, whether that was by choice or by the nature of how we bought things back then. We just didn't have as many demands for the dollars.
The email continues. Then I look at my spouse's parents, no pensions, more reliance on 401ks, more worry, more conversations about healthcare costs and market swings. They're retired, but it feels more fragile. Now I look at us, my spouse and I are doing what we're supposed to do, contributing to retirement, avoiding bad debt, trying to live within reason. But retirement feels like something we have to constantly manage, model, and second guess. So here's the question. Yeah, there's a question. I can't shake this question. It says, is it still possible to have the kind of retirement our parents and especially our grandparents had? Or are we chasing something that no longer exists. And if it doesn't exist anymore, what are we actually supposed to be aiming for instead? Signed, confused, but not irresponsible.
Okay.
Dame, the answer is no, you cannot have the same retirement. That's it for this week's Pete the Planner show. Yeah, so we're going to spend the next few segments sort of breaking this down. Like what are reasonable expectations? I'd like to spend a second more in that grandparents' retirement thing. And I think you hit it. There's a lot less temptations, a lot less avenues for your money, and you can take the pretty basic ones. You can take the draw and appeal of what social media influences you to do. You can take the likes of DoorDash instead of spaghetti and meatballs, homemade. And then you can take home ownership and the fact that our dream home or forever home didn't really exist in language, but it existed in practicality in the sense that you had a home and yeah, that's where you dreamt at night and it was forever because it was your only home. So those sorts of things are very real. Dame, who is eligible to have a grandparent's retirement at this point? Is anyone eligible? Who's the archetype that could actually do it?
Do you want the profession or do you just want
anything, whatever you got?
You and I have had this conversation, probably even said it on this show before, that there's one profession I think that stands out specifically for this.
Teachers
have the, and depending on state a little bit on where you are, because not every state participates in Social Security if you're in education. But if you are working there, you've got moderate income, I'll call it. So you're probably not getting too far over your head with some of your purchases. You're going to have 2 streams of income guaranteed. That's if you don't even think about putting money in the 403b. So you could potentially have 3 very reasonable streams of income once you get to retirement between Social Security, pension, and whatever you manage to save. Hopefully moderate expenses, and you could potentially have the time of your life.
I thought of another one, and then Andy, of course, in the live stream brings up yet another one, which is a better one than I thought of. I thought of like a manufacturer employee, a union manufacturer. I don't know how to. Good words, bro.
Yeah,
great words. However, I think there's job instability there. I don't think there's instability in education. It's weird to say, given the last 18 months, but I don't think there's instability in the teaching. I will say, Andy mentions the military. Mm-hmm. I think a person theoretically could have that idyllic retirement in the military.
Sure. I mean, let's say you join out of high school when you're 18, you get your 20 in. You still got another career in front of you. You could potentially go get another pension if you wanted to before you retired, have 2 pensions, Social Security, and whatever you save along the way. I mean, military, if you can stick with it, that might be the best of the best options.
It really is, because of course, I mean, did anyone think we're going to get through the show without me bringing up Grandpa Dunn? GM pension, Social Security, military pension, own assets. And when I'm sitting here waxing poetic about the past and the smell of freshly sizzled bacon and sweet tea from the South, and I just think of their house and the stability and the wonderful retirement they had. So when we come back from the break, we're going to get a little bit more modern, probably talk about the next generation, and then eventually make our way to what will it look like for us? All that is next on the Pete the Planner Show. I am Pete the Planner. There we go.
Much better.
What are you doing this weekend?
I don't think we're doing anything this weekend, which is wonderful.
Too much, man. I want to do nothing. I want to be snowed in again, but I'm out doing stuff.
Throwing 40-pound shovelfuls of snow around.
12,000 tonnage.
Getting swole.
That magnesium. Well, how likely are you to try magnesium now that we've talked about this?
Pretty high.
Really? Like 80, 70?
Yeah, sure.
So I tiptoed in, like I did half the dose.
Yeah.
Then my weight full dose. It's pretty good though. And I brought it up like out in our space out there with some colleagues, and they were all like, "Oh yeah." It's like when I brought up I enjoyed Spotify, and they're like, "Okay, boomer, we know." I'm always last to the party.
That's all right. I mean,
Yeah.
no, you're not.
You are always
Me?
last to the party.
Yeah. I mean, what's it taste like?
Andy, no. Oh, it tastes like nothing. It's just like a little gel cap or whatever. Andy asked, "What does my doctor recommend, or what dose does your doctor recommend?" Well, let's ask Dr. Chat GPT right now. I mean, Andy says she takes 300 milligrams a day. I was taking 350. I'm taking 350 right now. Dame, I'm embarrassed to say, I mean, I go to my doctor about once a year just for a checkup. I don't really go for anything else. But if I'm going to make like a medical decision at this point in time, I am plugging all of my medical information into AI and just asking AI to help me make the decision. And I don't know whether that's good to publicly admit, but that is what I do.
Same. Everything goes into GPT just to see what it spits out and then feed my neurosis that I am dying.
Yeah, I said that out loud, and I'm thinking about saying that out loud. I'm like, should I have said that out loud? But I feel like most people are the same way. Or a lot of people are the same way.
Totally. It's getting used in all sorts of ways that are potentially circumventing better, more accurate diagnosis and advice. But yeah, you read the stats on, they test, AI on some of these things, and it performs pretty well. So if one AI model does it, then all of them have to be able to do it, right?
For sure. Dame, I've been for circumstances that presented the opportunity and the need, I've been digging deeper into product and engineering within our organization.
Mm-hmm.
For those that don't know, maybe you do know, when you were a CEO, your job many times is to literally go to whatever department has a need for you to figure out. But quite a learning curve for me there, Dame.
Is GPT helping you learn how to code?
I'm not learning how to code, but just even the language. I mean, it's like, the retirement or investment industry that we both live in, and the idea that we're so used to the jargon and how all the thing fits together and what it means, so we can talk effortlessly about it. If you're observing those conversations as a complete layman, and like I am in some of those product engineering conversations, it is humbling.
You almost need those, have live translation now on phones. You need one of those for engineering product talk, just, so you can goes in and it reads it back to you like you're 5, so you can understand it.
I've enjoyed it though. Like, it makes me appreciate the complexity of the work that our colleagues do and how their brains work. And it's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Danza suggests that GPT is deadlier than WebMD.
Could have done without that.
Oh, thanks, Danza. Probably. I mean, because it's also trying to end the human race, right? So like WebMD is just like, hey, everybody, it's cancer. But ChatGPT is like, well, have you considered magnesium?
Should I ask GPT real quick? Should I take magnesium?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Dame. Dr. Gipta. It's the GPT. Yeah. All right. What does it say, Dame? Should you take magnesium?
Maybe, but it depends on why you're considering it. What a responsible answer. I mean, it's no fun.
I mean, that's what my doctor would say. And I didn't have to wait 3 months.
True. No copay for this one either.
And I don't want this to turn into an anti-healthcare podcast. But I listened to a podcast this week about healthcare in the United States compared to healthcare in other developed nations. And my cynicism went through the roof. It got pretty dark.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I have no expertise in this area, so let's move on. Like, I have expertise. My expertise primarily is product and engineering.
Well, make sure you add that to your LinkedIn.
Gosh, what a sham if I did. Technical founder is
Is there something I can endorse you for on LinkedIn? His technical proficiency?
you know this world we live in of startup and SaaS company. You know our world, man. I'll say there's some terms that get thrown around that make me cringe and that are uncomfortable. None more so than founder. You know, like I find it so obnoxious.
Now I know how I'm going to refer to you most of the times.
It's like, okay, I mean, CEO is an obnoxious title, but like if I just went around and be like, I'm the founder, like it just feels I'm God Almighty.
And I'm also a client.
Yeah, it's really strange for me. Like I was on some panel not too long ago for some dumb thing, and we're going around who you are, and I was like, I'm Peter Dunn, the CEO of your money. The other person was like, I'm blah blah blah, founder, president, CEO, chief evangelist. I'm like, okay, shush your lips. And I physically touched the man's lips. And in that moment, we founded a business together. It was called, I don't know, couldn't think of anything. All right, you ready to go here?
And then you lived happily ever after.
And then we started dating. 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner Show. Dame talking, is it possible to have the same retirement that your grandparents had? And we came to the conclusion of there's probably 2 professions that can pull that off, and they are
3 if we go for it. Teacher, something else union related, and military.
Excellent. Everyone else, probably not happening. Now, let's look at parents' retirement. Definitely a little bit more nuanced. But actually, let's do this. Let's back up a half step, and let's actually go through the chronology and the mechanics of how retirement worked for our grandparents and then our parents, and it kind of gets to us. Okay, so grandparents. Okay, they're working, then they stop working. Then their pension arrives. Social Security fills in the gap. Their house is paid off, but there's no dashboards, there's no calculators, there's no dumb podcasts like this one. It's just like, yep, income comes in, we spend it, see you next month.
Yeah, they didn't need a podcast like this because it was kind of like cruise control.
Parents, it starts to evolve, right? Somewhat similar structure, fewer pensions, clearly, more anxiety over Social Security, a lot more anxiety about healthcare. I don't know if you heard about healthcare. Still some institutional support to a degree. The sense of this is handled is there. It's just not as strong as it was for our grandparents. Do you see that differently?
No, I think they're, sliding away from what the grandparents experienced, but they still have a lot of the same sensibilities that their parents had. And so they'll find a way to make it work, even though the game has changed a little bit for them. So while the income streams may not be quite as robust for that group, because there was that transition period where maybe they had a pension and then it got frozen and they had to start trying to make the contributions to 401ks or whatever it might be. They've got some pieces and it might be a little bit more complicated, but overall, they're probably still in pretty darn good shape if there weren't some extenuating circumstances.
I think to understand the transition between our grandparents and our parents, you have to hit 3 really interesting truths. Number 1 is that with our grandparents, typically the employers carried the risk to ensure this was going to happen. Number 2, longevity risk wasn't personal, right? Which is a strange thing to say, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it was taken care of with the grandparents. Didn't matter. The checks were still going to come. And the employer had already baked that into the equation. So now the longevity risk is, did you save enough in order to make it as long as you do, assuming you live to 117?
I think the other element of this, and it's to what you just said, is the markets were wholly invisible to retirees of that generation. Like I don't know. My grandpa was an accountant and a math guy. I was going to say I never really heard him talk about the markets, but that'd be sort of a ridiculous thing to say about your grandfather when you're a teenager. I just don't get the sense that he was just like a big Dow guy,
Yeah, that was a conversation that never happened between myself and my grandparents, that I don't even remember it being a discussion at any, even with if just kind of hanging around, listening to them talk to their friends. Again, smaller rural communities, simpler. So maybe it was in other pockets, but definitely not where I grew up.
So as we've mentioned numerous times already, so part of the change has been pensions disappeared. Social Security has already evolved a little bit with the changing of the ages of full retirement and those things. I'm sure as this show progresses, a lot of the focus is going to head there. Housing got rockier, both voluntarily and involuntarily.
Yeah.
House prices went up, but Dame, the dumb housing decisions may have started with our parents' generation.
That's interesting. Housing has definitely gotten more expensive in relation to your income. There's no denying that. Housing decisions getting crazier starting with our parents' generation. You have an example, specific example that you're thinking about? Like vacation homes became more popular, or lake homes, or stretching. Oh, they grew up in a 3-bedroom house with 6 siblings, and they didn't want their kids to go through that, so they stretched for a 4-bedroom house, or is that kind of where you're going?
Yeah, my perspective obviously is limited to what I saw.
Yeah.
But I'll note I'm thinking about my folks and their friends and
Yeah.
my friends' parents and those sorts of things too. And like, you start to see dumb decisions. You start to see upper middle class decisions that risk stability, that go to that. Hey, we had a 1,800 square foot house that 6 people lived in 3 bedrooms, to a 3,200 square foot house with 6 bedrooms for 3 people.
Mhm.
Like, I think that idea, short of the Rockefellers, did not exist with the greatest generation. But that's a boomer entry, and I'll just say it's gotten crazier since then.
Yeah, I totally agree that our expectations for what we need in a housing situation are greatly impacting our overall financial stability. Absolutely.
I think one of the biggest key differences between our parents and our grandparents is just that healthcare wild card. You went from arguably having 5 figures of healthcare expenses in aggregate throughout a retirement, maybe for someone that is a in the greatest generation, especially in the core part of their retirement, to boomers spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on healthcare in their retirement. And so, Dame, as we in the next segment definitely look forward to what ours looks like, I got to be honest, this is the one that's making me really nervous.
Healthcare is a big issue for everybody, whether you are just out of school, young family, approaching retirement, well into retirement. The expenses in this area can absolutely crush any financial flexibility that you had and the stability that you worked so hard for. And it's difficult to estimate and take the appropriate measures for a lot of folks to make sure that you're insulated from those. So this is going to be something that trips a lot of people up, and it's important that they get the things structured correctly so that they can have as much protection as possible.
A little nervous about this next idea here because I don't necessarily believe it, and I wouldn't normally entertain the idea, but this is so loaded. What role do you think the billionaire class and corporate greed play into this transition?
That's a great question. Because if we think about that transition from pensions to 401ks to people just being able to pull a phone out of their pocket and invest on the little glowing rectangle, more money than ever was pouring into these companies, and they've always been beholden to the shareholders. But now they're competing for every dollar that's out there, and so it's hard. I can't deny that. Capital is very attractive to companies like these, and stock price matters a lot. And so they're looking for ways that they can add to the bottom line. And, how much do they contribute to this? I don't know. It's not nothing, but I don't know how much weight to give them.
So, Dane, what we're going to do When we come back, we're gonna shoot forward into the now, and actually, we're gonna shoot forward into the future. We're gonna do it for our generation, and then because we're lazy, we're gonna group the millennials and the Gen Z folks together.
Nice.
We're gonna take a look at what those income streams really are. Pensions, no. Social Security, well, that's the bulk of the conversation. What do healthcare costs and what do housing costs look like in relation to that? So that's next. And of course, final segment of the show is biggest waste of money of the week, a 17-year running segment on the show, and the news with Damian Dunn. All of that is next right here on the Pete the Planner Show. I am Pete the Planner. Dame, I'm going to put you in a wildly uncomfortable position.
Okay.
You're going to have to filibuster for a minute.
Oh, yeah?
I got to get to the bathroom. I'm sorry. It's just like a lot of electrolytes.
Go for it. All right. So those of you that are watching the live stream right now, this is an audience participation moment. And I need you to help. Otherwise, it's going to be really uncomfortable for all of us. While Pete was talking, I was trying to think of, oftentimes you hear, we're going to save you money from corporations. We're going to do this and that. Can anybody think of an actual example of a company that saves them money? I'm not talking about requiring you to spend money to save a little bit, but a corporation that saves you money. I'm having a really hard time coming up with ones like, hey, I wasn't doing that before. They are going to save me a little bit of money, so I'm going for them. You could potentially argue that some insurance companies, I know how perverse that sounds, but maybe some insurance companies, by getting the same coverage for less, potentially. I don't know. Does that make sense to anybody? Outside of insurance companies, how other companies that might be saving you money? It's probably not retail stores too much. I love the silence in the chat, by the way. It's not doing me any favors. Thanks for playing along. So other companies, Aldi. Yeah. Okay. So you're getting similar products for less in those cases. That's great. Coupon websites, your CPA saving you money. There you go. Love that. Pete, as you dismissed yourself for a bit, I asked those watching along, as you were talking before, I started thinking about, companies often say, save, blah, blah, blah. Can you think of a company that actually saves you money?
Oh, that's a great question. A company that saves me money. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Amazon.
You think so?
Yeah. I think they generally have if you think of a product as any product as a commodity, it exists, it has a price.
Mm-hmm.
If it is purchased in bulk and that bulk discount is passed down to the consumer, then in my view, yeah.
Okay. I thought, and this didn't make me feel good with this example, but I think there's some truth to it. I think when you switch insurance companies, you can save money for the same product. They don't proclaim. Well, I guess they do say, hey, well, save X percent. So there might be something to be said there, but you can see some of the other suggestions. Aldi was in there. Mm-hmm. Amazon, Tim says, coupon websites. I don't know. Everybody's competing for our dollars. They claim that they're going to save us money by using their services. I'm just curious if we actually realize those savings.
That's a great question. Costco, but with a massive flag, right? Like it induces as much spending as it saves, but it also, if you're locked, it saves.
I could argue Amazon too. Does the same thing. So it's, I don't know, it's something I'll probably think about a little bit, but
don't hurt yourself.
No.
Well, thank you for that, everyone. I
was really hoping that there was at least one of those rooms open for you when you went out there.
That is always the fear. So here's what happens, like at board meetings. Our board meetings are here, and like people are still working while the board meetings go on. We take a break, and we're like, all right, let's do a little 10-minute break. And the board meeting, we walk out, and all the bathrooms are slammed, and we're just like, okay, no one cares. Let's finish this little thing. This idea. In 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner Show. You have a very slim chance of having the same retirement your grandparents had, unless you were an educator with a pension, in the military with a pension, or a union member manufacturer worker. I don't know these. Everyone else, which is the majority of people, that's not your retirement. So then you look at your parents' retirement and you say, well, can I do my parents' retirement? Well, your parents, some had pensions. They still have Social Security in its close to purest form. Dame, they didn't fully avoid the expense of housing in the modern era, and certainly not healthcare. But I'll just say this, it's starting to devolve until it gets down to our generation and where we go, okay, well, what's actually going our way? What hope do we have? If you don't mind, I kind of would love to start out with Social Security.
Okay.
It's a bit of a trope, but it's also true of like, what are the chances that a person still has Social Security in the current form when they are our age, which is, we'll call it mid-40s.
So can we get some clarification on the question before I answer that?
Sure.
Do you mean the full 100% promise benefit, or is any benefit?
No, you can take it however you like. I would say probably the full promise benefit. Like, how do you break down like what happens next?
So it used to be every couple of years, but I think it's turned into almost an annual thing at this point. The board for the Social Security Administration puts out a report, and they talk about the likelihood that they're going to be able to honor the commitments that are made through Social Security if Congress does what Congress does best, which is kicks the can down the road and makes this a problem for somebody else to solve, which is, they're not going to do anything. Then Social Security will become effectively bankrupt. And that doesn't mean you stop getting anything. And that's going to be like somewhere between 6 and 8 years down the road, if I remember correctly. That means that if they go bankrupt, they will be able to support somewhere between 70 and 80% of the promised benefits for a long time. You and I will not have anything to worry about. So you and I will get something. It's somewhere between 70 and 100% of the promised benefits. Now, if we're going to talk about our kids, that's a different story. I don't know. Now, to be completely fair, how many decades have they been having this conversation, Pete?
3, at least. I started thinking about this morning, and my brain kept going to, where are we from a congressional leadership standpoint, or even executive leadership now compared to where we were at pick a period, I don't know, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. And what is the current state of that leadership in relation to this question? Are they more emboldened to solve this problem, or are they now or are they less inclined to solve this problem? That's where I was trying to sort through myself, because it's a problem.
Yeah, I think everybody recognizes that it's a problem, but this isn't one that's moving the needle right now. There are other headline grabbing things that they can get their sound clip or their sound bite out there to try and garner their votes in their district that way. So while everybody, this will come up around election time, it always does. But until then, you're probably not going to hear a whole lot about it because everything's okay right now. And we'll, wait to see if we can find a better time to address the situation when they really should be doing something about it now. So from a leadership perspective, I think there is a will to do something like there usually is, but there's a huge disagreement on how you solve it, whether you raise taxes, lower benefits, or raise caps on income. I just don't see there being enough clamoring or demand in the media or from constituents at this point to make that a priority to fix.
Yeah, that's probably where I'm at too. So that gets to then like, well, then like what happens? Like if they don't fix it,
yeah,
then what happens? That's the next question, right?
Yeah. If they don't fix it, then we get less. We continue to pay what we've paid. And they renege on their promise. They give us, somewhere between 70 and 80% of the benefit. That's it.
Okay. So no pensions for our generation and younger, really? Not really.
Yeah, very few.
Social Security, you're going to get less.
Probably.
So then you get into the other supply side of money and then the demand for that money. So let's hit the final supply side of that money, and that is your own investments and nest egg. I will say that our generation and below definitely is sensitive to the need for the markets. Maybe.
Yeah. No, I think there's more fluency, we'll call it, with at least a familiarity with how that works and what the benefits of participating in those things are. So it's not seen quite as like a black box as it might have for the generation that was maybe some in our generation or the generation above us, because it's on our phones and it's in the news and it's on social media, people talking about it. And so there's less anxiety about trying to get into that space. So I'm not worried about people participating in that. I'm more worried about people participating correctly.
Yeah, totally. So then that is the one element of, I don't know why I'm calling it this, the supply side of money that you can impact is your investment strategy. Now let's get to the demand for your money. I think this is where people can actually not only help that supply side of their money, but this is how you solve this problem. This is what our grandparents didn't have to do. Some of our parents did it, some of them didn't, but it didn't kind of matter. But for us, it's all that matters. It's that, how do you matriculate your way through adult expenses in your 40 years of adult living? And how do you eliminate obligations as you head towards that period of time of not having a work income? I think it starts with housing. People hate this. Your house has to be paid off. Like, it just has to be. Has to be.
Yeah, it's a big challenge. If you can't get that biggest, for almost everybody, biggest monthly expense eliminated from your budget within a couple years of retirement, you're going to drain your assets faster than you otherwise should. And you're going to stretch those dollars that you work so hard to save for even longer and give you more insulation against returns that aren't maybe quite what you thought they would have been, or maybe inflation's a little bit higher than what you thought it was going to be, because you don't have the demand on your dollars, and your housing is almost certainly always going to be the biggest consumer of those dollars.
And of course, it's not that simple either, because even if you pay off your house and you pay it off quickly, then it's immediately having that cash flow redirected into some other obligation that then increases your dependency on your income. So it's not just as simple as that. Dame, other elements here. I was having a college conversation with my daughter last night, and she was talking about some school, and I was just like straight up old school PTP. I was like, dude, it's just not in the budget. I literally can't do it. Like I said, this is the amount of money we got.
Yeah.
And so whatever you just said, lovely, get into it. Congrats on the SAT scores. I can't do it. I can't. And so I think there's got to be more of that. We just literally can't, because otherwise that demand side for the money is just, it's helpless.
In so many different areas, we are much better off financially if we learn to say no and use the word frequently.
And now I'm going to bring it all back to an obnoxious point. The other demand for your money is your health care.
Yes.
So if you do not take care of yourself as you age, you're going to make this worth. And there's nothing more obnoxious than a person who is only on a 1-year health journey giving that advice. Like, it is, I'm embarrassed to have given it, but I believe it. Anyway, coming up after the break, biggest waste of money of the week and the news. I'm Pete the Planner. I do cringe saying that, man. I both mean it and acknowledge that I probably will fall off the wagon at some point.
I think what I heard you say was a bunch of middle-aged and older men should make sure they go outside and shovel snow regularly.
My neighbor Brian was just out there with that snowblower, took care of our sidewalk, and like I was like, brother, thank you.
Is it a nice 2-stage snowblower, or is it just the?
I mean, dude, no one in the world knows what a 2-stage snowblower is. What is a Dame, what is a 2-stage snowblower?
Have you seen the ones that have like 2 augers on them? Stacked.
What is an auger?
Okay.
Okay, I know what an auger is, but so it augers up one vertically and then it augers on top.
Yeah, so you can go through deeper snow, but it throws it much further too. Usually, they're pretty amazing.
Danza just busting chops here. Pete is the founder of Health and Wellness. Hey, you know what? The next panel I speak on, that's what I'm going to say.
All right, see if we can get a name tag made up for you, those magnet ones.
I mean, Dave, you had to put up with some garbage from me because, I tried my best, but you have to put up like, I say this, it's obnoxious. If I start calling myself a founder, like that's brutal, right?
I just kind of roll my eyes and say that's Pete.
But now here's the thing. I got to be honest though. Like if someone else wants to call themselves a founder that is meaningful to them, I get it. It's also obnoxious, but I get it. But it's just not for me.
The various points in time of my working career where I had the opportunity to, say CEO, whatever it is, I was never comfortable with it either. I don't know why. It just felt obnoxious.
For what it's worth, I mean, there's just a whole category of these sorts of decisions. It's like I choose to call my coworkers or my colleagues. That is a choice. It is something I believe in, and I say it internally and externally. Others don't find that nuance important or meaningful, and so they'll just call those folks something different. I don't know. I guess everyone gets to make that decision.
Yeah, to each their own. I'm certainly not casting stones at people who feel differently than I do, but it just wasn't for me.
But if I did cast stone, I would become with a lot of sleep because of the magnesium. Dame, let's hit biggest waste of money of the week in the news and get out of here.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. This week's biggest waste of money of the week right here on the Pete the Planner Show is the Vanis Hyperia Smart Telescope. Okay, so it's the Vanis Hyperia. It's just a dumb name. Created as a one-off digital observatory for the something in Paris. This thing sits at the top of the brand's lineup of smart telescope. Its optical system, which was developed with Canon and features 17 lenses with air sphere coating technology, 150 millimeter f4 aperture, some stuff.
Yeah.
Got a 45 megapixel full frame sensor. With the optics set on a robotic arm, it measures around 6 feet tall. Same.
No, you don't.
Okay. When open, and can track objects selected via the app across the sky for 30 minutes. 2 integrated filters allow for dialing up specific wavelengths, and built-in live streaming capabilities allow the telescope to operate remotely while the images are viewed in a theater, a planetarium, or classroom. This telescope is available for pre-order now, with delivery slated to begin in 2027. What do you believe, Dame?
First of all, the picture that's used to advertise this is great, but there's zero chance you're getting that sky in that setting. Zero chance. Here's the thing. A little smart telescope, I guess you'd call it, came across one of my social media feeds the other day. I was like, oh, I think it's going to be expensive. This was a small personal one. It was only like $300, $350 or something like that. And it looked like it did a really nice job. It's certainly better than I did when I was a kid with my little plastic tube out in the backyard trying to zoom in on, we'll say, the moon.
That was funny.
This one, though, I mean, I feel like there's no way. $100,000. I don't know.
Well, David representing Kristen's guest today was $6,000. Dame, it is $99,000. Look at you. Look at you.
I'm back.
He's back, baby. Dame, what is in the news this week?
Oh, well, earlier this week, the S&P 500 briefly crossed 7,000 for the first time ever. Pete, 7,000. Can you believe that? That's
Yeah.
crazy. As investors stared deeply into the motivational mug and said, everything's going to be fine. Markets have been riding that belief that the Fed's going to cut rates later this year, just not yet. Strong reports from AI heavyweights like ASML, SK Hynix, and Texas Instruments helped push stocks over the top, and it didn't hurt that NVIDIA got approval to sell its H200 chips in China. But stocks weren't the only thing making headlines. The Russell 2000, Pete, up more than 6% so far this year in 1 month, 6%. Outpacing the S&P 500's investors bet on stronger economic growth in 2026. Hasn't been a smooth ride, though. Geopolitical tensions and tariff threats have kept nerves on edge, which helps explain why gold has been on an absolute heater, up 20-ish% in a month and topping $5,500 an ounce for the first time ever. Some strategists say that when stocks start lagging gold, it can signal a stock market plateau. But hey, maybe this time really is different.
Gold has taken it in the shorts, I think, the last couple of days, but still, to your point, it just kept going and going. I have less of a sense of what I believe the market will do this year than I think in any recent year. And that extends to even to COVID, because I felt like what happened in COVID was going to happen in COVID. But I am very cloudy crystal ball right now.
Yeah, it's weird because you feel the way I normally do.
oh no.
And I flip the other way. So it's really all bets are off at this point. Who knows?
I still guessed 22% because that's my standard guess for the S&P 500.
I think things are cloudy. We're going to have 22% return.
Even today, Kevin Warsh has been named the next Fed chair by President Trump when Powell's tenure is up in the spring. But we're going to have an interest rate increase prior to then, I would think. And then what you're going to get, Dame, is or decrease. Did I say increase?
You said increase.
I meant decrease.
Yeah.
Then you're likely going to have a series of them after that. So that, if nothing else, that's going to pump the market something crazy late in the year.
And housing's going to go bonkers.
Housing is going to go bonkers. But, we've sort of referenced this idea on the show for years, and of that the economy overheats. What does it mean? Because it just sounds so dumb, because you want the economy hot. You want it going. Well, how does it overheat? It can overheat when interest rates are too low in relation to the rest of the macro economy around jobs and growth, inflation. So we're about to see what happens when the executive branch controls the Fed.
Yeah, we'll see.
What else is in the news?
This one's a little different. I think it's a fun little conversation. Earlier this week, Team USA's Metal Math got a financial upgrade. Did you see something about this, Pete?
Nothing.
Despite winning more Olympic medals than any country on Earth, the U.S. government doesn't directly pay its Olympians. Most athletes rely on sponsorships and bonuses raised privately. That's about to change, at least a little. Starting with the Milan Cortina Olympics, financier Ross Stevens announced he'll give $200,000 to every U.S. Olympic and Paralympic athlete, regardless of how they place. Half is paid later in life, either 20 years after their first Olympics or at age 45, because you're an old person at 45. And another $100,000 is set aside as a guaranteed benefit for their families. The full commitment totals about $100 million, the largest single donation ever to the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee, which operates without federal funding and relies heavily on sponsorships and philanthropy. Beyond financial security, there's a competitive angle here too, because it's the Olympics. Of course there is. About 60% of U.S. medals are won by repeat Olympians. Under this program, athletes earn the benefit for every games they compete in. Other countries have been doing this for decades, offering pension stipends and lifetime perks. The U.S. might finally be catching up. So gold medals are great. Retirement planning still matters, though.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
It makes me think, who was it? Michael Dell that donated all this money for the Trump accounts or something like that. Like these sort of private to public donations Not that the Olympic athlete program is public. I mean, it both is, but it's so limited. I can't get my head around them. There's such a, for me, it's such a new concept. And it's not even about cynicism, Dame. It's just like, I struggle to understand the dynamics of something like that. Like this donor saying, I want to give $100 million to athletes, other than just altruism, patriotism. Like what? And maybe that's it. Like, what's going on? I don't understand.
He won his middle school long jump contest and then tore his knee, and is convinced he would have been an Olympian if he hadn't hurt his knee in high school.
I think that's the operative question. Is this person a former athlete, or is this a person that never was an athlete?
Just this financier, have no idea.
What's his name?
Ross Stevens, if I remember correctly. Let me scroll back up a little bit here. Yeah, Ross Stevens.
All right. Well,
Stevens.
Oh, there you go. Oh, wait, that can't be it. It said a Welsh retired football player. So I'm guessing that's not the financier.
Probably not the same guy.
All right. Dame, that's all we got for the show this week.
Okay.
I'm just reading I'm just trying to read about this guy. In 2023, he rescinded $100 million gift to the University of Pennsylvania based on all of that was going on. He's the chief executive of Stone Ridge Holdings Group. Actually, to read that correctly, it says he's the founder and chief executive of Stone Ridge Holdings.
Of course he is.
Of course he is. Hi, I'm
Ross,
founder and chief executive Ross Stevens. Okay, I gotta go. Dame, thanks for being here. Everybody else, I am sending you good vibes, because good vibes are all that's in this founder's budget. I'm Pete the Planner. This is the Pete the Planner Show. Oh, that was a nice little hack. All right, Dame. It's a good participation from the crew today. Thanks everyone on this live stream. That was fun.
Yeah, they helped me out when I was soloing there for a little while. It was great.
Sorry. I feel better. Anyway, thanks everybody. Stay getting money.